All right, welcome to the next episode. This is awesome. I'm just knocking these out. You can't tell. Batch recording is the best thing invented since sliced bread. The next question for Startup Q&A is, I have this awesome idea, but I don't know how to do it. What should be my next steps? Well, fortunately, you have to come up off of some of your equity. You're gonna have to, if you don't have the money, you have to, one, make sure that your story and your vision for it is amazing. Make it compelling, because you're gonna have to convince hires to join your company. And then you can go on a website like LinkedIn, like Indeed, probably not Indeed, but AngelList is a good place to find people who will work for equity and pitch them. Post it, make sure that you have a deck, make sure that you have potential investors or partners in play, make sure you might have 1 or 2 customers, or probably 10 to 20 customers that have been pre-sold. So maybe you haven't built a product yet, but you're giving them a lifetime discount to pay, a tenth of the price just to get some traction, or at least traction numbers. That way you can prove the concept to someone who can actually build out the product. I've encountered that in some ways. What I did is I went out and found partners, people who were probably successful in their own right, but wouldn't turn away good free money. And so I went out and sold the product or sold the service, and then I referred it back to them, and they were my back end. They were the people who did the back end work. And that worked well until you're able to hire people. And that's really the way that it would go down. If I really thought that I needed a technical co-founder, I would go out and to a meetup, to a networking event. I would purchase some tickets, fly out to TechCrunch Disrupt in NYC, and maybe something out in LA, and just figure out who I can find, who I can locate that thinks that this idea is really awesome, and figure out a way to pull them into the fold without committing too much in salary. I've heard of people doing that. I believe Twitch, or before that when Justin TV, I believe it was called, I believe that's how they got started. Some of them were working full-time, others were working part-time until they had enough runway so that they could transfer over to full-time. I think that's how they did that. And that's also an option. You can have a technical co-founder that still takes a high percentage of your company because they deserve it, and they can work part-time on your idea until you really get customers and get traction on the sales side. And then they can come over full-time when you have an established when you've established the right amount. But if you're gonna give away equity, that should be in that equity grant, in that compensation plan. Hey, when we hit 50 users, you will come on full time. You will quit your job, you will come over to my company. Have that in writing so that when it comes down to it, they don't own 30, 40, 50% of your company and still working part-time 10 years from now when your company's huge. Don't want that to happen. So make sure that everything's written down in advance if you're gonna give someone equity in exchange for working for you. And that's my advice. Really, you gotta be able to sell it. Sell it hard. Your vision has to be so amazing and so robust that someone hears about it and they're just like, I wanna be a part of that guy's idea. So that's my advice. That's how you develop something without having the resources or even the know-how of how to do it in the first place. Don't fake it till you make it though. That's a bad idea.